this evening, and welcome to an Ohio State versus Indiana Big Ten Championship Big Preview edition of the OHIO podcast. I'm your host, Buckeye Boggs, aka the Podfather. That's the wild man over there, and you are you. And we're thankful you decided to join us this evening for this huge preview. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you to the almost 300 of you who have subscribed in the past, 48 hours or so
Yeah.
since Saturday. It's good to have each and every single one of you with us. And if you're tuning in for this video as well, we appreciate that as well. Chris, obviously, we want everybody to comment down in the comment section below. Give us your score prediction or let us know what you think about what we think down below. We would love to hear from each and every single one of you. Chris, Ohio
Yes.
State, Indiana. I didn't think we would ever see this in my lifetime, but here we are. It's a Buckeye versus Hoosier Big Ten championship game. And I guess at the end of the day, all you can do is tip your hat to Curt Cignetti and Indiana and say, by God, you did it. You made it. You made it to Indianapolis. Basically, your quasi home, if you will, from Bloomington, going up the route there, state route to Indianapolis, getting to play basically a home game in Lucas Oil for a Big Ten championship game. Congratulations, Hoosiers.
Yeah, this Eric, something we didn't think we would ever see. Obviously, we never thought Indiana would have the potential to be this good. But more than that, you're talking about a Big Ten championship game that features an Ohio State team and an Indiana team, both coming in unbeaten, 12-0, both fighting for the conference championship, 1-2 in the college football playoff rankings. The two top teams in the country, according to everybody that is supposed to be in the know. Familiar territory for Ohio State, though it's been a while. They've been to 6 championship games, 5-1 in those games. Indiana, this is their first crack at it. Cignetti has come in. You can't deny that he's changed the culture at Indiana. You can't. Now, last year, their schedule was soft. This year, it was a little more difficult. I mean, you had to go through Oregon. You had to go through, at the time, a number 9 Illinois team. Penn State, they caught them as they were starting to rebound a little bit. So Penn State was playing up to their talent a little bit more at that point. But if you look at that, other than those 3 opponents, Indiana absolutely decimated people. But when they played those 3 opponents that had defense, the games were a little bit different.
Sure.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this Saturday, because Ohio State's coming off of a dominating win over Michigan. The scoreboard doesn't look dominating, but it was a dominating win. You and I both watched it.
Right.
Number 1 defense in the country. I mean, just so much going for Ohio State, so much going for Indiana. This is going to be a true clash of the Titans. But I'll tell you, I really love this Ohio State team. They are a team, and I mentioned this phrase the other day, it almost seems like they're playing with their food. They've been very conservative, but they're just they're doing what they need to beat people, but they could just, at any time, turn it on and put them away. I think this is an Ohio State team that's been playing with their food, while Indiana's been a team that's been out there trying to put up the gaudy numbers to really justify or legitimize them being there.
Any concern from you after the big win in Ann Arbor of there being an emotional letdown from this team going into this game?
No, because you mentioned the word, Eric, emotion. That Michigan game was all about passion, emotion, raw hatred. Next week, it's not about that. It's about what Ryan Day's done best since the playoffs started last year. It's back to business. This trip to Indianapolis, which, by the way, you said is basically a home game for Indiana. It's not exactly an away game for Ohio State.
True.
And I'll tell you, it's a business trip. That's all this is. It is a business trip to Indiana. I'm not worried about a letdown because I'm telling you, I believe he's already started refocusing these guys. I think you let them have their moment. But I'm telling you, yesterday morning, Monday morning, I think the focus was restarted.
chance to go win some hardware. It's about the hardware. You almost have to take the emotion out of it at this point. As far as like last week, there was a lot of emotion going into that game. This week, it's more about um, going and winning yourself a Big Ten championship. Something that
Yes,
nobody on this team, as far as the players, have ever done. And so it's an opportunity to get back to that point of saying we won the Big Ten, we are the kings of the conference, and you win a ring, and you hold up the Big Ten trophy, and you do all of those things. It's also about the opportunity to win your quarterback a Heisman Trophy.
absolutely. I mean, these two quarterbacks, I can't deny that Mendoza has had a good season. The guy's completing 72% of his passes, which in most cases is pretty good. Uh, he's got 32 touchdowns against 5 INTs on the season. He's only been sacked 15 times. The guy comes in with 2,700 yards of passing yards. Um, and honestly, you got to give him some credit because he isn't surrounded by the tools that Julian Sand is. I mean, if you look
Let's not degrade some of those receivers. They've
they're
had some pretty
good, but
good
they are
years.
not freaks like what Ohio State has when their two starting guys are healthy.
I
I
agree.
mean, they if I'm not taking a step farther, they're great. They're not just good; they're great. But there is something different about Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah,
When
they're
those two
elite.
guys are healthy, they are athletic freaks.
Yeah, they're elite. We have elite bookend receivers. They've got great
And
bookend
you look at
receivers.
Julian saying you mentioned the Heisman. I think he's got to be the front runner right now. He's thrown for over 3,000 yards already this season. He's still completing nearly 79% of his passes. Uh, 30 touchdowns, so he only trails Mendoza by 2 there. They both have got the 5 interceptions. Julian Sand has been sacked about a third of the number of times that we've seen out of Mendoza. I really feel like right now, if the voters were to cast today, and I know you probably want to talk about the Heisman moment that
Mendoza had.
Mendoza had in Penn State. It wasn't a Heisman moment. It was a mess of his own creation. He just fixed the mistake he made. He cleaned up his own mess. Julian Sand hasn't had maybe that definitive Heisman moment, but he has been the most consistent quarterback in the country this season. And I think that carries a lot of weight. And he does have an opportunity this Saturday to get that Heisman moment.
This Saturday, speaking of this Saturday, 8 p.m. on Fox, or you could join our Patreon, link below us here, and watch the game with us over on our Patreon channel. Hang out with Chris, myself, a host of others in the chat as we watch Ohio State, Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. Chris, are we ready to dive into some numbers?
You know what? Why not? Let's get this going.
All right, statistically, by the numbers, Ohio State leads the all-time series over Indiana 80-12 with 5 ties. Ohio State has won a Big Ten record, mind you, 29 in a row against the Hoosiers. Last loss to Indiana was in 1988. It was a 7-41 defeat. Last meeting in Columbus was last year when Will Howard stomped on the SIG, and Ohio State won 38-15. That seems like a big score. It was actually much closer than
Yes, it
that.
was.
Last meeting in Bloomington was 2023. OSU won that one 23-3. And this will be the first time these two teams play in Indianapolis. Largest margin of victory for the Buckeyes came in 1957. Woody stomped them 56-0. That 1988 loss, well, that was the worst loss we ever suffered to Indiana. That 29-game winning streak is the longest currently for Ohio State over the Hoosiers. Started in 1991. Yeah, because the 88 was the loss. We didn't play them until 91. Started in 1991 and is still currently going on today. Indiana's longest win streak over the Buckeyes is 4. That was from 1903 to 1913. Ryan Day's record against the Hoosiers is 6-0. Curt Cignetti's record against the Buckeyes, 0-1. Looking at the last 10, we're not going to go through all the scores, but there they are from 2015 through 2024. As you can see, Ohio State has dominated this series in the last 10. And Chris, for kicks and giggles, I decided to do this as well. You brought it up, you mentioned it. Here's the all-time results for Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. I'm still mad about that 2013 loss to Michigan State. And then other than that, you got wins over Wisconsin, Northwestern. Now we get to play Indiana in this game here in 2025. Chris, let's dive into, if you don't mind, the tale of the tape. And this is incredibly interesting.
Yeah, Eric, I know a lot of people are going to say, wow, look at all those categories where Indiana leads. Points per game, they're scoring 44.33 points per game, one of the top scoring teams in the nation. Ohio State averaging 37. Rushing yards per game, Indiana putting up nearly 230 yards a game on the ground, where Ohio State's averaging about 171 and a half. Passing yards per game, Ohio State is a leader here at 267 yards to 254.1 for Indiana. But I want to dive into that a little bit further here once we get done with the offense. Total yards per game, Indiana leads at 483.9 to 438.5. Third down conversion rate. Both these teams very, very close. Indiana has a slight edge at 56.6% conversion rate. Ohio State at 56.2%. Then you look at the red zone efficiency, 91.8% for Indiana, 90.3% for Ohio State. Now, I'm going to stop there with the offensive numbers, Eric, because I want to get your thoughts on the offensive numbers, and I want to throw some numbers out at you.
Okay. So, Indiana this year, where Ohio State has been a little bit more methodical about things, one of the stats that wasn't in the tail of the tape that I think would really explain a lot of this is plays per game. Ohio State is roughly somewhere around 60 plays per game. Indiana, I believe, is somewhere around 70 or more. And that is a massive difference when you look at yards per play, which isn't a part of our tail of the tape graphic that we make. But yards per play, I want to believe Ohio State might actually be ahead of Indiana, if I'm not mistaken. So you could sometimes, people who get into the weeds of stats, they say you can make stats say whatever you want them to say in
Yes.
the narrative, which is, I think, can be true to a degree. But we've kept the same tail of the tape the last 2 years because these are the main overarching, like there's stats underneath those umbrellas of those main stats, but we've kept the main stats for just generality and ease of explanation. Indiana is a good offense. Let's not kid ourselves here. That is a good offense. And this will be a great challenge, again, for Matt Patricia and our defense, who I am confident is going to rise to the challenge here and really keep Indiana under their current season statistics as far as yards per play, yards per game, averages that you've seen.
Yeah, and that was one of the stats I was going to jump into, Eric, and I'm glad you brought it up. And that is the time used per play. Ohio State is the slowest playing team in the country. They average 27
like
seconds.
Navy lately.
Yeah, they're averaging 27 seconds per between snaps. Indiana is the fastest team in the country between snaps. These two teams play just completely different styles of game. And then you look at this team, and a lot of it comes down to the passing. You look at the lofty passing yards that Mendoza has. However, first of all, what is amazing is he's got these stats, and you know he has only had one 300-yard game all season. Only one. And that actually came against, where did I go with it? Yeah. So he had one 300 game yard all season, and that came against Michigan State. that was his best game of the season. His 5 best games this season were Michigan State, Wisconsin, Indiana State, Kennesaw State, and Penn State. Those were his 5 best passing games of the season.
You mean yards, passing
Yardage
yards
wise, yes.
Yeah. Because I don't know that I would call the Penn State one of his best games. It had the best moment, but it wasn't his best game.
Correct. It was his most, I guess, yard production wise. Those were his best games. And that Penn State game, a lot of that is because they were playing from behind there at the end.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So as I look at this, I see a quarterback that when he faces a real defense has a tendency to struggle, because if you look conversely, Iowa, Oregon, they were among his worst yard production games. And then you look at that Penn State game, and though he had decent yard production, only 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Touchdown was questionable at best. So to me, I think that can be deceiving, what you see on those offensive numbers. That being said, let's move on to the defense.
Let's do it.
And this is where Ohio State definitely holds an edge. Ohio State only allowing 7.75 points per game. However, Indiana, they are the number 5 defense in the nation. This is not an easy defense to play. They're only giving up 10.92 yards per game, or points per game. Very similar in how many rushing yards per game they give up. 81.7 for Ohio State to 79.2 for Indiana. The passing yards per game, this is an area that we have to exploit, Eric. Ohio State only giving up 121.3. Indiana giving up 173 passing yards per game almost. Total yards per game, Ohio State only giving up 203. Indiana giving up 251.7, which is very respectable. Both these teams are getting off the field fairly easily on third down. Both of them in that 27% area. Ohio State a slight edge at 27.3% conversion allowed to Indiana's 27.7. Now, this is what we have to watch for, because this is what can change a game. Indiana has a significant difference in turnover. Turnovers per 2 on average to the 0.92 for Ohio State. Turnovers can be a great equalizer. If Ohio State can avoid turnovers and exploit these defensive backs, an issue, they're good but not great. I think Ohio State, if they use the pass to open the run, has a pretty easy day. Your thoughts on the defense?
The game within the game for me, I think our defense is definitely going to hold Indiana under their average, et cetera, et cetera. You brought it up, the game within the game. Can we maintain what we have been doing and what we like to do on offense without turning the football over? Because that, like you said, is the great equalizer. And at 2 turnovers per game, average 24 this season in 12 games for Indiana, it's more than double what Ohio State has done at
it's impressive.
11.
It really is.
And, we had that turnover against Michigan early on. It led to 3 points. Indiana, more times than not, those turnovers have led to 7 points. They've capitalized on them offensively. Defense has led to offense. Can we keep that from happening and force Indiana into long fields, long sustaining drives, where they have to score on pace with Ohio State? I don't want Ohio State to have to score on pace with Indiana. In other words, I don't want Indiana to be the aggressor in this game.
I think they could, though, Eric.
They could. They could. Yeah, they're going to try to press the issue. They're going to go tempo on us, guys. And if there's been something this year that we have seen that has bothered this defense a little bit at times, it has been tempo. Keeping them, and the thing about going up against a team with tempo is you have to make sure you win first down, and you have to get them into third and longs and get off the field.
Yes.
Because as soon as they get that first down, boom, tempo goes. And now you're on your heels the entire time defensively. So Matt Patricia needs to get this defense locked in on first down on the first play of every Indiana drive and force them into second and longs and set up third downs because on third down, Ohio State has gotten off the field better than anybody in the country on third down.
Although Indiana's a close second.
They're very good. They're absolutely very
But
good.
this is the other thing I'd throw at you, Eric. You talk about the defense. Our offense can play defense. We saw that. I think one of the best defensive series that we had last week was Ohio State's 12-minute drive.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we talked about the turnovers being a great equalizer. That can be a great equalizer for Ohio State.
And let's not kid ourselves here. Like, I know star rankings and recruiting rankings are fun to talk about, especially now with the early signing day period and everything, where everybody gets into all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But like, Indiana has developed this talent. This is really good talent here, okay? But it's not like we haven't seen good talent on from a defense before. I think our offensive
Texas,
line,
yeah.
I think our offensive line, having coming off the game they just played against Michigan and the element that they played it in, if they can kind of force the issue here and we can control the line of scrimmage offensively, it's going to aid to our defense.
Yes.
It's going to give them longer breaks on the sideline. They can make more adjustments on the sideline. It's going to do everything to help Ohio State. So even though I know a lot of Ohio State fans want to see us go pedal to the metal and score 45 points, like I do not want to get in a shootout here. I would love to see Ohio State do the methodical, wear you down, beat you by 2 or 3 scores at the end of the game. But when it's all said and done, you're thinking, man, we didn't even have a chance to score type of feeling.
This is Texas. This is Michigan. This is the type of game we want to play.
Against the style of offense, I think it is. Could be wrong, but I just don't want to get in a shootout with Mendoza and Indiana because offensively, that is their comfort zone. I want to put them in a place where they're not comfortable and really just keep that offense on the sideline and dominate their defense up front. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I know this much. If we do get out in a lead, we're not going to feel nearly as comfortable about that lead this weekend as we did last weekend. When you went up 2 scores, you were like, yeah, this one's probably over.
Pretty much over, yeah.
Not here, man. This is going to be a 4-quarter game. And I'll say this. I want the ball and the lead at the end of the game. I want the lead, and then I want the ball in my hands at the end of the game.
I agree. And Eric, one other thing, you talked about it being a 4-quarter game. I think one other key thing comes into that. Why I think Ohio State has an advantage, and that's depth. Indiana is very good with their starters, but I don't believe they have near the talent and the depth that Ohio State has.
All right, we're going to bring on Sam from the Hoosier Huddle now. This is a great interview. I do need to warn you all, though, there is some sound issues here. He was on daddy duty, and the baby monitor was acting up a little bit during this interview. I'm sorry, I can't help that. But if you could get past that the content is fantastic from Sam, and it's really good to get that Indiana perspective of their season, of Cignetti, their expectations. And I asked him a very, very interesting question that really kind of backed him in the corner at the end and caused him to have to make a decision. I think you're going to find his answer incredibly interesting. So make sure you check that out. Chris and I will be back after the interview. We will give you our predictions. I'm now being joined by my good friend Sammy Jacobs over there from the Hoosier Huddle, our sister podcast over at the College Huddle, 87 independent podcasts from coast to coast, including the OHIO podcast and the Hoosier Huddle, man. And I tell you, Sammy, when we did this preview at the beginning of the year, we talked about this very scenario. We said we're not going to do a preview unless we see each other in Indianapolis. Well, guess what, buddy? We're here.
It's happening. Yeah.
It's happening. It happened. You went into Eugene. You knocked off the Ducks. Then you beat everybody else after that. You had a great comeback win in Happy Valley. and Ohio State did what they had to do. They finally beat the team up north in the snow, and both teams are on a crash course. 1 versus 2, man. All eyes in college football are going to be in Indianapolis on Saturday. Your thoughts?
Well, all eyes unless they're ESPN or College Game Day. My my thoughts. This should be a bigger deal than it is. 1 versus 2 in the country. This is where like the college football playoff kind of takes a little bit of luster off of it. It is a big deal, and I was talking to a friend who used to write for a newspaper in Bloomington, and he's retired now. Um, that they need to treat the Big Ten championship game like the Big Ten basketball tournament at the end of the year. Like Ohio State and Indiana shared the Big Ten title, and now they're going to play in the Big Ten championship game. Like they shared the regular season title, and then but it's a huge deal. But yeah, I don't think people are making a big enough deal out of it because if you lose, what's the worst that could happen? You're either going to be the 1 seed or the 3 seed. I think Texas A&M losing Friday night essentially guarantees that whatever happens, Ohio State and Indiana are going to get a bye into the playoffs. Um, you know, I think for Indiana winning a Big Ten title, and it's been a minute since Ohio State's won a Big Ten title too,
Mm-hmm.
and it still should mean something, and that's what I think that the modern college football doesn't get. Like conference championships mean something to people, and it's always been something to people. And Indiana hasn't won one since 1967. They've got two. Overall, and it's going to be awesome in Indianapolis. They're putting big posters up on the JW Marriott by the stadium. Indianapolis does a really good job of putting on big events too. Like they do a great job of putting
Yes,
on
they do.
events. Everything is connected by those gerbil tunnels. There's a lot of hotels. Could there be more hotels and bars downtown? Sure, yeah. But everything's within walking distance of Lucas Oil Stadium and the convention center where like Fan Fest happens. They close down one of the main streets with no cars where they have all the bars and they have some outdoor setups and it's just a fun event to go to. But now as a that your team is in it is pretty damn cool.
Yeah. Um, can you put this in perspective historically for everybody as an Indiana fan, as someone who has covered this team, what this means for this fan base and for this program?
Yeah, I mean, I could try. I don't know if there's a comparison in any other sport where a team has gone from they were literally the worst team in college football history. The first two 700 losses, they had the most losses in FBS history until this year when Northwestern passed them, and now they're what are they 23-2 over the last 2 years. I don't think there's a story like in sports. It's maybe the Devil Rays or the Tampa Bay Rays in 2008 where they've been a doormat for whatever 10 years as an expansion team and then make the World Series. But yeah, it's for this fan base, it's a wake up call to everybody in terms of hey, look, I told people, a lot of people told people, if you invest in football, there's no reason you should be terrible at Indiana. There's no reason. You have the facilities, you have the money, you have, the stadium's small, but so it's Autzen and some other stadiums, but you have the surrounding talent. There's been some really good players at Indianapolis that have gone to Ohio State and other schools like that. Um, but if you invest in it and you hire the right coach, there's no reason you should suck. Now, nobody in their right mind thought Kirk Sadetti would go 23-2 over his first 2 years. Um, that's that's the kicker. It's like whenever I talk to friends about, well, what is your goal for Indiana football? It's like kind of be like Iowa, you win 7, 8, 9 games every year. Every so often, you win 10 or 11 games and have that special year. Just happened that Indiana has those years 2 years in a row. So it's I don't think anything's ever been done like this before. To come into
Yeah.
like
And
there's no comparison.
if you need to go get the kiddo, I understand, man. We can pause it.
No, he's sleeping, but he
All right.
sometimes wakes up and makes noise. He's fine.
All right, buddy. Let me say this though. I don't think it's a coincidence 2 years in a row. Like, okay, the first year was one
No,
thing.
it's not. It's NIL has changed everything.
Yeah, it has. And I to the point where I think a lot of there's a Signetti. I'm calling it the Signetti effect. And I think programs now are really quick to pull the trigger on their coaches and be
Oh, he
like,
has
look,
cost so many people their jobs.
it's true. Like I don't know. You give me your opinion on Penn State. I think Penn State thought they had a shot, and that's one of the reasons why they did it. And then
No, so I
and now
always
Penn
go
State's
back
kind of
to
like, uh-oh.
yeah, they're gonna hire the guy from BYU, which is he's a good football coach, but that's just an absolutely weird fit and a weird hire. Usually the BYU coaches, at least the last couple, have come from the American Samoa, Hawaii line, and stuff like that, and they do better with the West Coast because their culture is out on the West Coast. But yeah, I always go back to if you've seen Iron Man, if you haven't seen it recently, when Obadiah is yelling at a scientist to build the Iron Man suit, and he says that Tony Stark did this in a cave with scraps. That's how I imagine every AD is looking at these football coaches they fired. Well, Kirk Cignetti did this at Indiana. Well, the scientist answer is, well, I'm not Tony Stark. Well, yeah, these guys aren't Kirk Cignetti. It's kind of similar like that, and all of a sudden, yeah, patience is running thin. You thought with Rev Share you'd see all these people balk at these high buyouts. I do think Penn State might regret firing James Franklin. I don't think James Franklin is the greatest coach ever, but he was very consistent, and he probably hit his ceiling at Penn State. He probably did. But yeah, I mean, you see Penn State still floundering for a coach. Why can I guess Kentucky's going to go get Will Stein? Virginia Tech made a good hire, but you've seen some other programs. I mean, Michigan State got old friend Pat Fitzgerald
I think that's a great
back.
hire. I think that's a great hire.
We'll see.
You
I know
disagree
that's
with
kind
me,
of
huh?
I think on paper it's not a bad hire. I get it. I understand the hire. He's been successful in the Big Ten, but his last few years at Northwestern were
They were
awful.
rough.
Like
They were rough.
not he got cleared of whatever wrongdoing he was accused of, and I'm not even talking about that. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to how invested are these programs into NIL and your coaching staffs and stuff like that. Indiana's paying Kirk Cignetti like $11 million a year, and there's clauses in his contract that his assistant coach's pay pool has to be in like the top 15 in the country or top 10 in the country. That's how you win games now. It's all about, you used to talk about facility races and mini golf courses and lazy rivers. It's how big's your NIL pool so you could go get players. And he just happens to be an elite talent evaluator and an elite developer. So he could take whatever IU's budget is and go, not discount shopping, but go get those guys where instead of one big guy, you could get four guys and develop them into really good players.
Hmm. So let's talk a little bit about possible home field advantage. I've been talking with a lot of Ohio State people about this. They don't seem to be too concerned about it. It is a fast track. I've been to Lucas Oil multiple times for this particular game. Ohio State now this team has not been there. So it's not like it's an advantage for them, but these players, but some of the coaches possibly, yes. Um, Ticket prices are way higher than they used to be that I remember. I have a feeling that it's because Indiana fans are kind of driving up that price because they get to like drive to the game like in their home state. Um, my guess is it's going to be 70-30, 80-20 Hoosiers. Is that a huge
Really?
advantage? Oh yeah, I think so.
Oh
Well, I
wow, I
know
was
this
going
much.
more
It'll be
more
100%
50-50.
red. That I do know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was thinking more 50-50.
You think so?
Now talking to you, I'm changing my mind. One, I think, where these conference championship games are, if you're going to blow a ton of money on postseason games, if you're Ohio State, you're probably waiting for the playoff games, right? You want to go out to Pasadena or wherever they end up, or the national title game down in Florida. Like, people aren't made out of money. If they are, I haven't met them. Um, but yeah, it's there's a high demand of tickets from IU fans, and I think I checked earlier today. The get-in price was like $408 on
Yep.
SeatGeek. Um, Now it could go down, and I'm kicking myself for not buying them after IU beat Oregon for $130. Um, but there's a high demand. Ohio State sold out their block, IU sold out their block, and then we'll see who's willing to spend more money in the secondary market. Which you might be correct. It might be the IU fans because this hasn't happened in a very long time.
Yeah. So it took Kurt Cignetti only 2 years to get here, which is impressive, to say the least. And he's done it unconventionally, as far as his demeanor. Um, he's very complimentary to Ryan Day. He was the last time he was interviewed. He talked very complimentary to Ryan Day in Ohio State. Um, I remember him going on the field in Happy Valley, and the question for the reporter was, "You guys have never won a game here," and he goes, "That's not this team."
Yeah.
And it was such a like truthful. That's true, but at the same time, like don't ask me that question because I'm about to prove you wrong. And I just can't help explain to me how his demeanor, confidence, mentality is portrayed on this team because Indiana doesn't go into anywhere now and is scared of anything. They went toe to toe with Oregon and bullied them in
Yeah.
Eugene, the place that Ohio State lost last year.
The last two teams who beat Oregon and Eugene are Indiana, right?
Indiana, you guys did it 2 times in a row. Yes.
Yeah, it never rains at Autzen Stadium. IU never loses at Autzen Stadium. So they're 2-0. It's not like a huge sample size. But to your question about Kirk Cignetti, um, that was a Fox game. So Jenny Taft was the reporter who asked that question, and after the game, she did like a whatever TikTok hit from some random gas station in Pennsylvania. And she's like, people say that Kirk Cignetti's mean and all. She said, I appreciate that answer. That's a great answer. That's exactly what you
Great
want
answer.
as a sideline reporter. He said, yeah, well, this Indiana team hasn't played here. That's correct. Basically, there's before Sig and currently in Indiana football history right now. He was talking about the lesson he learned at Ohio State last year. And they went in, they hung with them for about a quarter. Then the wheels started falling off with the drop punt and, basically being inside your own 20-yard line for however long. It seemed like 4 hours. The moment just got too big for them. And, it was a closer game than the score indicated, but it was also Ohio State beat their ass. And the same thing at Notre Dame in the playoff game was like they really weren't ready for the moment, and they couldn't block guys up front, and there's just those two teams are just better. and they're better prepared and all that stuff. So this offseason has been about how are we going to beat these guys and how are we going to beat people on the road in tough environments. I think bringing in Pat Coogan, what the center from Notre Dame, has been huge. But it all goes to Signetti's. We're going to play one play at a time. Each play has a life of its own. Each play is 6 seconds. And after that play is over, we're moving on to the next one. And I think that really, really helps. And it's totally rubbed off. And you saw it. You know, you go back to the win at Iowa. Fernando Mendoza throws a fourth quarter interception that, you know, sets up a would-be go-ahead field goal for Iowa that they miss. The next drive, Indiana goes down and gets the, you know, he hits Elijah Surratt on a slant and goes for a touchdown. They win the game. At Oregon, you know, or Indiana's pretty much dominating the game. Oregon had no life in the fourth quarter, and then he throws a pick six, and it's 20-20. That crowd is buzzing. Fernando Mendoza, the next drive, 75-yard touchdown drive to go ahead. Penn State looked dead in the water. Hadn't done anything in the fourth quarter. You take a sack on first down with 1:30 left in Happy Valley. And I don't care that they were 3-6 or whatever they were, 3-5 at the time. There's a lot of talent on that Penn State team. The reason that their coach got fired is because they underperformed, not because they were bad players. To go down in a minute and 31 seconds from a 2nd and 17, they just don't flinch this year. And this is the next test. And this is the test that they've been kind of preparing for. And I think it's that mentality of we're just going to play the next play. The next play is the most important play of the game. And it's kind of like that Rudy mentality where, you know, Vince Vaughn's character gets super pissed at him, thinking that practice is the Super Bowl. But it's the same thing. You know, hey, the next play is the most important play of the game. Next play is the most important play of the game. And the one thing you could say about IU is that they never quit. They will be playing their hardest, whether they're ahead by 63 points or behind by 24 points like they were at Ohio State. Indiana didn't roll over. They just got beat by a better team. You know, they went down, controlled the ball, and got that second touchdown, but it wasn't, you know, they didn't quit. It wasn't like, you know, we saw Illinois do against Indiana this year where, you know, all of a sudden a 24-10 game becomes 63-10. So that's, I think, the mentality that rubs off him. But man, Kirk Cinetti is he's definitely an interesting character. But he's less soundbitey this year. He's more.
He has been. He's been more precision with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he respects all the coaches because of what he's done with his career. To take a chance on himself from leaving Alabama to going to IU Pennsylvania and just betting on himself at the age of 50, he has respect for all these guys.
Yeah.
He wants to beat them, but he respects what they do.
Yeah. All right. One of our listeners wanted me to ask you the following question. Who would you like to see in the second round of the playoffs? Is there a particular team that's slated for this college football playoff that you think is probably going to win in the first round that you would like to see in the second round?
Ole Miss, anybody from the SEC. I mean, I would say Ole Miss just because that's a clown show right now.
Yeah, right. But they got to win first, though. That's the problem with them.
They got to get there.
Yeah.
I think Alabama's beatable. They're very one-dimensional on offense. Plus, Ty
What about
Simpson's
Notre
kind of
Dame?
banged up. I don't want to face Notre Dame.
Really?
They're good, dude.
They're good.
I mean,
well, you're gonna have to face them eventually, right?
Yes, unless somebody else knocks them off for you. But
okay, all right.
Yeah, Notre Dame, like I wouldn't want to play them in the second round. You know, we'll see them down the road. They're just Jeremiah Love is not getting enough love in what he's doing this year. Excuse me.
I agree.
You know, yeah, they lost to Miami and Texas A&M, and frankly, Miami should probably be in front of them. But it is what it is. We'll see. I give me anybody from the just whatever. Give me anybody, but I'd pick Ole Miss, and my
Would
last
you
pick would probably be Notre Dame.
would you sign? Would if I told you today, hey, uh, you get to play for a national championship against Ohio State, but that means you have to lose in the Big Ten championship game. Would you take that?
Do we get to win the national title game?
And I didn't say that. I said you get to play for a national championship game against Ohio State, but you have to lose to them in the Big Ten championship game. Would you take that?
Probably.
Okay.
What's the alternative? What's the alternative? Is beating them in the Big Ten championship and then losing in like the semifinals? Because
I
I'd
don't
take
know.
that too.
Okay.
Because I would take that. I
No.
there is my wife grew up on the border of Ohio and Indiana, and she absolutely hates Ohio State. And my best friend's an Ohio State fan, and he's like the most obnoxious person on the planet. He's a Long Island Jew. He's already obnoxious, and then add on Ohio State, and it's like super extra obnoxious. But it's yeah. If you could beat Ohio State once in the postseason, I think you would take that, whether it be the national title game or what I don't want is this to like the rematch to be a semifinal game. That's what I don't want.
Yeah, I just don't see that would be possible because I think what they'll do is the loser will be either 2 or 3 and on the other side of the bracket. And
Yeah, I would hope so. I would hope that they had some foresight on that. So, you know, playing you guys in the Big Ten title game and then playing again, whatever, two games in a national title game would be fine. Yeah, just like last year's national title game was almost the Oregon game for you guys, and it was coming out in the second round. What was it, the quarterfinals?
yeah, and then we went to Cotton Bowl and beat Texas 28-14. That one felt like the national championship game, the Texas game.
Yeah,
Um,
so it's a semi like the matchups weren't, you know, sometimes your best matchup on paper comes early in the tournament, and that's true of any playoffs and things like that. But yeah, I guess I would take a national title game appearance if it means losing to you guys on Saturday.
okay, I was just curious where you were at in your mindset. All right, I got to ask you one final question, man. And of course, I expect you to be a complete and utter homer in this. Although when I interviewed you on the college huddle in the Oregon game, you were not. So I'm interested to see where you're going to go here. What's your prediction for Saturday, my man?
Yeah, every time I pick IU to win a big game, they lose, and every time I pick them to lose a big game, they win. So we'll do the Josh Pate reverse psychology pick. I do think this will be a really good game. I don't look if it's like S&P plus says and it's 25-24, you might have to call like the paramedics to revive me, and a lot of people. But I think I do think it'll be a good game. Um, that IU's better equipped this year than they were last year. You're also not going to the horseshoe and playing in front of 110,000 Ohio State crazy people. So that'll be whether it's 50-50 or as you say 70-30, 80-20. Either way, it's not 110 people screaming their heads off. So it should be a little bit less of an intimidating environment from crowd noise standpoint. But Indiana's gone into these venues and pulled out wins. Iowa, Oregon, Penn State. I think if it is a close game, and Ohio State hasn't really played a close game, Texas was 14-7, but Texas scored a garbage time touchdown with, 3 minutes left in that game. Indiana has the confidence to pull off a close win at the end. Now, they have to get pressure on the quarterback, which some other teams that shall not be named didn't do last week. And if you let him sit in the pocket, he'll pick you apart. But if it's a close game, yeah, talent wins above all else, though. So I'm going to take Ohio State 27, Indiana 20. uh, in a really good game. But
Okay.
don't be shocked if it comes down to the final drive. Indiana has closed out some games and they've gained some confidence over that they're not going to be intimidated to go down and score on a defense that really doesn't give up much at all.
Yeah. That's and the game within the game for me is Matt Patricia and Kurt Signetti. Squaring
Yeah.
up that defense with that offense. One thing we didn't even mention here is that the winner probably wins the Heisman Trophy. Um,
Yes.
so
Yeah, there's so many storylines, and College Game Day is not even covering it. Yeah, there's so many storylines on this game. So many. You have Big Ten title. You have who's going to be the one seed, who's going to not be the one seed, and then Heisman Trophy. This is probably for the Heisman Trophy. Now, Fernando Mendoza last week didn't gain much separation against Purdue, uh, but hey, it's Dome Stadium this week, and I think whoever now my question to you is if, let's say, Ohio State wins, but Fernando Mendoza throws for like 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Julian Sang throws for 180 and 2 touchdowns and a pick, who are you giving it to?
Jeremiah Love.
There you go.
I no I have such a problem with the Heisman because I think it's a popularity contest and I hate it. I think
It
the
is, and
Heisman
it's become a quarterback award, which
yes,
is
it
not what
should
it
be
is.
given to the best college football player.
So Caleb Downs?
Or I mean
It's
Jeremiah
him or
Smith.
Jeremiah. Jeremiah Smith was my preseason pick for um,
He didn't. He
for the
missed two
Heisman.
games. That
That's
hurt.
where that's where it gets them. Is you missed
Yeah,
2 games, and Ohio State really took their foot off the gas offensively down the stretch. It seemed.
they were being very conservative.
Yes.
Um, and on purpose, conservative
Yeah.
on purpose. They were slowing or speeding games up by slowing down the offense. We were running less than 60 plays a game. We were
Yeah.
possessing the ball and saying, "Hey, let's see let's see how much we can look like Navy on this drive, guys."
Yeah.
That was some of the
I mean, you
stuff they
guys
were
did it
doing.
last week with the 20. What was it? 20 play drive that
It
ate
was
up over 11 minutes. I mean, it
11
was more
minutes and
plays.
56 seconds, 20 plays, and they got a field goal.
Yeah, and it was more plays than Michigan ran in the entire second half.
Yeah, yeah. Michigan had the ball for less than 20 minutes of the game.
It's ridiculous. But
So
that's
yeah,
like I don't think people appreciate how good Ohio State is this year. Like that, they're somehow the number one team, undefeated, have a Heisman candidate quarterback, and they've flown under the radar.
yeah. Well,
That to me is amazing.
that's ESPN pushing the SEC narrative to the nth degree, is what that is, man. But I promise you, if something bad happened to Ohio State, it would be the first thing they would lead with on ESPN.
Yeah,
Promise you. But yeah, it's the world we live in right now, man. So we got to carry the water for him, brother, which I'm glad you do over at the College Huddle. If there's some kind of Indiana fan who climbs on this and watches this and was like, who's the Sammy guy? How do I not know him? Where can they find you at, brother?
you can find us at HoosierHuddle.com. Don't mind the site being under construction and things changing very quickly. We should almost be done with that. But yeah, HoosierHuddle.com. We cover all IU sports all the time. Forums, in-depth analysis. We have our podcast as well on Apple, Spotify, podcast.com, whatever other one. We're on all of them. So you can come there, follow us on X at Hoosier_Huddle as well, and then subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you just search Hoosier Huddle, it'll come up there. I don't remember the numbers behind the URL, but apparently we were not the first Hoosier Huddle on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Well, the other place you can do is go to thecollegehuddle.com, scroll over to the Big Ten, down to the Indiana. You'll find the Hoosier Huddle there, covering the football team for us over there on the College Huddle. Sammy, enjoy the game. It's going to be a good one. It's exciting. The Big Ten championship games are awesome. If you're going, are you going to get to go?
Yeah, we're going. I've got credentials and all that stuff. And
Nice. Okay.
Indiana's basketball team is also playing Louisville in downtown Indianapolis as well at 2:00 that day. So it's an all-time day. If you're an Indiana fan, that's one where you do the doubleheader, and I
Yeah.
hope the football ticket costs drop. But yeah,
Absolutely. Well, enjoy the game, my man. It's going to be a lot of fun. Win, lose, or draw. We're both going to the college football playoff again, 2 years in a row. Hey, Michigan, Ohio State and Indiana are going to the CFP 2 years in a row. Suck it.
well,
I just had to.
I'm glad you guys could beat Michigan, get on the beating Michigan train as well,
Yes,
since we beat them last year.
that's right. Hey, it's always a good year when you can beat the cheaters. That's what we say around here, man. All right, man.
Yep.
Enjoy the game. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll catch up with you on the CFP time. All right, brother?
Yeah, sounds good. Have a good night.
You as well. Thank you to Sam from the Hoosier Huddle for joining us. Make sure if you're an Indiana fan, you go check that out. If you're a Ohio State fan, go check that out. Anyways, man, Sam's a good dude. He deserves your appreciation for all his hard work over there and for providing us a great interview. And make sure you go check out the College Huddle. You see the logo there above the left shoulder of Chris. The College Huddle, 87 independent podcasts from coast to coast, covering your favorite schools, your favorite team, and we're glad to be the Ohio State representative of the College Huddle. All right, Chris, it's that time, man. It's prediction time. I've been all over the board here thinking about this. I think statistically, we could see something in the low 20s. We could see something in the high 30s. I think one team possibly even could get in the 40s scoring. Fast track, indoors. Indiana likes to run tempo. Ohio State will try to slow it down, maybe. It could be and if Indiana gets to lead, then Ohio State's gonna have to pick it up. We could see another way to get a high scoring game. I don't know, man. I'll let you go first. What are your thoughts? What's your prediction? What do you think here?
I like Indiana's defense. I love Ohio State's defense. I'm leaning more towards that lower scoring game. I think Ryan Day and Brian Hartline are going to put together a plan to run a lot of clock. That's something they've been very good at this year. I like Ohio State. I like Ohio State by 2 scores. I'm going to go 27-17 Ohio State.
Chris says 27-17 Buckeyes. I think it's going to be a little closer than that. I also think it's going to be a little bit more high scoring than that as well. I'm going to go with Ohio State 31, Indiana 27 in a close one. 31-27 Buckeyes. The last thing I want to see is a game in the high 30s, low 40s. That to me is advantage Indiana. And I would
Absolutely.
I also want to say that this will be, I think, this might be the best offense we face.
Oh, this will be the best offense we face all year,
Yeah,
even including the playoff.
yeah, I know.
I would not be surprised if we don't see this offense again in the playoffs.
I presented that question to Sam. I asked him if he would be willing to trade a Big Ten championship for the opportunity to play Ohio State in a national championship, and he took that trade. He said yes.
You know what? If I'm an Ohio State guy and you flip that, I would do the same.
Interesting.
But here's the thing. I don't think we have to because I think Ohio State's going to get both. I'm already on the 3-peat train, Eric.
What? Whoa! You got to get the second one first, brother.
Hey, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling good about
it. 31-27 is my score. 27-17 is Chris's score. Let us know what your score is down in the comments section below, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate each and every single one of you. Make sure we enjoy this game in this moment Saturday. Again, if you're interested in watching the game with us over on Patreon, sign up for Patreon. It only costs $5 a month to get that insider information, recruiting rumors, how Ohio State rumors, sometimes the news before anybody else gets it. And of course, the extra content, extra podcasts like the Illuminati, Buckeye commitment reviews, all of that content, and the Buck Vader blog. How could we not mention Buck Vader and Patreon, man? He's the star of the show over there. So,
He
and Mika
absolutely
as
is.
well. So make sure you go check that out. Be a part of our growing community over there. Only $5 a month to be a part of that. And now you can gift a Patreon membership right in time for Christmas. That link is below us as well. If you would like to give someone a Patreon membership as a gift for Christmas, now's the time to do it. Or if your significant other comes to you and says, "What do I get you for Christmas?" You say, "Get me this. Get me this Patreon membership for a year, man, so I can be a part of the OHIO podcast behind the scenes, man. Be a part of their community." Chris, anything else on our way out here?
No, man, I'm just pumped up. I'm so excited for this Saturday. This season, Eric, actually starting with the playoffs last year, this has been a dream ride for Buckeyes fans. And I'm just not ready for it to stop. I'm ready for it to keep right on going, right on through the end of next season. Let's get it going.
At some point, we will lose again.
It's inevitable. It's gonna happen.
Just not this Saturday in Indianapolis, all right?
Not this year.
I want to see that 30 in a row against Indiana. I want to see that number.
You before we go, I just gotta say, that is the one thing that scares me for some reason.
Really?
That is a hell of a lot of games to beat a single team. And you better believe, I think Cignetti tries to cash in on that. He uses that as a motivator.
Sure, he uses anything. He did that against Penn State and Happy Valley, So, all right, guys. Again, thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate each and every single one of you. Let us know what you think about what we think down in the comment section below. We'll see you Saturday. Go Bucks.